Again, Glenn, I think you got to take about a 10-second, 15-second wait here before we start.
That sounds good.
Again.
All right, you're live.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Just the first order of business, we have a new member, Ms. Wolfeck. I'd like you to kind of introduce yourself to everybody here, then we'll just go around and allow each of the folks on the board to introduce themselves.
Okay. I'm Amy Wolfeck. I've lived in Fort Mitchell since I was 6 years old, so almost 34 years. I have 3 kids at Beechwood. They are 12, 8, and 6.
Oh, wow.
I live on Prather, and we utilize the parks a lot, and it's something I'm interested in. So I am happy to be here.
Great. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Senna, you want to go next?
Yes. Hi, Amy. Nice to see you. Yes, I'm glad that you're joining us.
Thank you.
Mr. Eplin?
Yep, I'm me. Hey, Amy, it's Jeff Eplin here. On
Hi.
the park board, I think now for going on my 3rd year. All 42 years of my life, I've lived here in Fort Mitchell, so I'm right there with you.
Good place to be.
Mike?
Mike Steckel, City Council. I'm a Fort Mitchell transplant, but I've been in the city since 1993 and been on council for 3 terms, so we're good to go.
Great. And I'm Glenn Rice. I'm the chair, and I also was born here and have, except for a couple excursions to grad school, I've pretty much lived here most of my life as well. So, all right. With that, welcome again. And we'll go ahead and just kind of, I just need a second to call the park board meeting to order.
I'll make the motion, Glenn.
Well, thank you so much. All right, so just a quick roll call of the members. We've already kind of introduced ourselves. All the members are here and present except for Mr. Simmons. We could note that.
Yes, I got it.
All right, great. And then I wanted to just real quickly, the agenda for tonight is going to be, we'll welcome the community members and guests to the meeting. We'll have a director's report from Mr. Kyle Bennett. And then we'll take any community questions or statements, and we'll adjourn after that. So the first order of business is to just seek approval for the agenda for the park board meeting today.
And I need a first and a second here. Thank
I'll
you.
make the motion.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second, Kyle.
Thank you
Thank
both
you.
very much. And then the next order of business is to approve the minutes from the last park board meeting. I'll make the first on that.
I'll second that too, Kyle.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so if anybody's on from the community, I can't see that, but if there's anybody here and they'd like to introduce themselves, I would ask you just to do that, make your presence known.
We actually do not, and I've got the YouTube feed, and so there's no, again, there's no one in the community right now. It's just us. So if anybody
Okay.
jumps in, I will know.
That'd be great. Thanks, Kyle.
Mhm.
So we're down to the park director report. So I would ask Mr. Kyle Bennett to step up and please
Okay.
provide that to us.
Okay, Amy, first off, Kyle Bennett, it's nice to put a face with the name and all the emails I've been sending you. So I apologize for throwing a bunch of stuff at you the last couple of weeks. Again, I do apologize. If you have any questions anytime, feel free to call me, email me, whatever you need, and I'll answer your questions the best that I can. If you guys, I sent you guys an email PDF of the actual park update. The biggest thing, I would like to spend just a couple times or a few minutes. Did you guys by chance see on the vandalism that happened last month at the park, the light pole? I sent that picture in the actual update. Someone literally, the light by the playground leading to the soccer field, someone literally bent that back and forth, broke it off, and took it. We walked the entire perimeter of the park. You think they put it somewhere? The entire pole and the globe on top gone. All the wiring out of it gone. We've covered it up, taken it all off, everything else, but just weird that happened. It was also during a time when Beechwood was practicing football up there to get ready for West Carter. So they were up there every night late with lights on and leaving about 9:30, 10 o'clock. It was just weird. We actually had 3 other globes also on one night that were broken up there. These are the globes that cover the lights of those poles, and they were broken off. So we did file a police report with the city of Fort Mitchell. So that is in there. We probably will not get that replaced as of right now because of the stuff we're doing around the playground itself right now with the renovations. So again, just throwing that out there. Also, I've had a bunch of people call, not a bunch, but about 8 or 9 people call me and email me wanting to know why we don't have a porta potty at the park. Always in the past, we've always, during the winter months, we have to close down. Our bathrooms are not winterized. I mean, they're open to the public for all the time, but they're open windows and there's no heat and we have no lines like that. So we have to turn the water off. We always have a couple of porta potties put up there, but we legally cannot do that. And I explained to them, they understood completely once I explained it to them, is that we cannot legally have those out at the park right now because of the COVID-19 situation, because we can't say that we're cleaning those every 45 minutes, every 30 minutes. And that's the problem. And they understood that as soon as I explained it, and it does make sense. I just wanted you guys, if you guys hear that from the community, that's why we don't have them up there. And usually we keep them up there even when we open the restrooms at the start, but just FYI, that's why we don't have those right now. Now, this
Hey,
time of year, yeah,
Kyle,
go ahead.
just real quick, Amy, just to fill you in, kind of vandalism has been, in the 10 plus years I've been on the board, kind of an ongoing problem that's episodic in nature. We'll have, seeming like a couple weeks where we just get tons of vandalism in the bathrooms, light poles, some of the playground equipment, fences occasionally, that kind of stuff. It's been an ongoing problem, at least as long as I've been on the board. And it can, it sometimes can get up to, $8,000, $10,000 worth of damage that occurs up there annually. So that is just sort of a background for you. I don't know if any of the other park board members want to comment or add to that, or Kyle, but
my biggest thing is it's about $5,000 or $6,000 for us to replace a slide up there on those plastic slides. That we've had to do that probably. And Jeff, you or Glenn jump in, or Asina, but we probably had to in the last 3 or 4 years probably replace 5 or 6 of those. Usually somebody takes, whether it's a hammer or some kind of instrument to the bottom of them, or where kids would come out at. We've gotten lucky that we've been able to melt it down and reuse. So that's what we've been doing lately. But again, that's one of our biggest hits. One of the things that we're trying to do when we do all these renovations is we're putting in a camera system that will keep up to 2 weeks worth of camera feed that we can go back and look, and there'll be infrared at night. So we'll be able to tell exactly what's happening, and that will be directly feeded into the city building to the police department, just like any other stops. So we're hoping that that'll help. And again, usually, I hate to say it, usually when it happens, it's a bigger item, and it's been happening more recent, a little more recent. I think what Glenn said, we went back about 10 years, and I think we averaged about like $7,200 to $8,200 a year, and nothing more than vandalism at the parks. And that's all the parks, not just at Ormsby Mitchell, but usually if something happens major, it's at Ormsby Mitchell, so it's so much bigger.
And up until
again,
this
that's
point,
just basic stuff. Go ahead.
sorry, up until this point,
You're fine.
there's no security or surveillance there.
Correct.
Okay.
Right now, the only thing we have police that come up there, and then they're very good. They come up every about maybe 30 to 45 minutes on their routine drives and through, but they don't
Mhm.
get out of the car. During when we have the restrooms open, they actually do lock the restrooms in the evening for us, so they do get out and walk around. But that is one of the problems right now is that we do not have fiber optics up there. It doesn't go to
Oh,
our
okay.
place, so we can't have video. Unless it's hardwired all the way around the park.
Okay.
So we're waiting to, I believe that Andrew, the chief, is actually going to get that done. His wife works with AT&T or Cincinnati Bell, excuse me, and they're going to be able to extend our fiber optics to where that we can actually have that and feed it into the police department.
Okay.
So
I did
that's
see
the
that in the
first thing.
proposal.
Go ahead. Oh yeah,
I'm
and
sorry,
it'll be the
keep
first thing we
interrupting
do. Yeah, it'll be the first thing that we do when we actually get these renovations done, because you spend that much money up there, you want to make sure that we can again keep it the way it is and make sure that even if we put the signage up, I think that'll help. No, I think you say there's surveillance and we have cameras. I think that'll help.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything I want to add? Jeff, Asena, you guys okay? Mike?
All good.
Okay.
Thanks,
we
Kyle.
talked before. Oh, no problem. The biggest thing I want to talk about tonight is the renovation project. As you guys, I don't know if you guys have read through it. The only thing that we've kind of added from our last meeting, I did add one thing to the bids that are going to go out. The mayor's meeting on Thursday with Baron Becker to go over the final bids. So we'll be able to put those out early next week. And if you look there, I even put the bid schedule out there is in our park update. February 8th, the week of February 8th, we'll put the bids out. The week of March the 8th, we will open those bids. And again, if everything goes fine, we'll be able to start work the week of March 29th. And that was with the site meetings and also with the construction meetings. So March 29th, beginning of April is what we're kind of looking at starting the renovations once that's done. I do want to show you guys something that I left off the park update, and I'm going to share my screen right here.
While you're sharing your screen,
go ahead.
I just wanted to ask a question. Do we anticipate any issues with this bid schedule that we might need to think through or discuss while we're all together today, so that if for some reason, if there's any issues you're aware of, we're not
yes.
another month behind?
If everything goes off as planned, we're going to probably have to have a special meeting after the bids are accepted, just so we don't wait. If that makes sense, like the bids are going to open March the 8th. That's a week after our meeting on the 2nd. We're going to have to meet that week, probably actually 2 or 3 days after Baron Becker goes over and puts that little side-by-side comparison of everything together for us. They'll bring us in on a Zoom meeting. Hopefully we can do it face-to-face, but if not, we'll do a Zoom meeting to where they'll show us everything that we need to do. And again, this is what it looks like. This is why we're going with them, and we'll have to actually vote on it and then take it to council. And again, that's why we gave ourselves about almost 3.5 to 4 weeks between the bids being accepted and us starting work, is so we can get our sign off and also council sign off. Ours is going to have to be a special meeting, period, because we can't wait till, if that makes sense, to April meeting. We're going to have to do it in March after our meeting. And I think that's the smartest way of handling it.
And I get that. I guess was making sure there's nothing that could interfere with that February 8th date that we actually get the bids out.
The only thing that would be is if the mayor, when he goes over the final bids, because that's what he does. If he finds something that jumps at him that he does not like or thinks that we should add, then it's something we might have to get together next week on a Zoom call. But it's something that we need to do now, meaning if he comes up on Thursday and finds a couple things and Baron Becker go back to me with it, we're all going to have to get together and vote to change what those bids look like. But again, we cannot wait till the next meeting. We need to get on this. Perfect timing. We got to get this done while the park's is down. This is the perfect time to do that. The one thing I wanted to show you guys, and can you guys go ahead?
I interrupt one more time here. So Amy, one of the particular challenges here is that the park board's an independent board, as Jude probably explained to you, but we're taking taking, we're getting a grant from the city essentially, and as well as a loan to finance this project. And so from the city, so we kind of feel like we need to get their approval and buy-in for something this major. I'm not doing a great job of explaining that, but that's kind of the background and why and it's been a good process, but that's why there's a number of extra steps involved that normally for some of the smaller expenses wouldn't by kind of the design and laws under which we operate.
And to add to that, Amy, we're getting a $500,000 grant from the city, which is not payable back. It's just $500,000 they're giving to us for this project. And then there's $750,000 they are loaning us that we're going to pay back $75,000 a year for the next 10 years. Jeff is going to go to them each year and ask for that to be taken off. But as of right now, that's every year we'll be paying 75. And if you guys on page 4, that park budget, that has the breakdown of that $75,000. Let me bring it up real quick. Hold on, let me finish sharing here, guys. First off, I'll bring it up. Give me 1 second here. This first thing is just the renovation. This is what it looks like. It's going to be a total of 77 parking spaces. That's almost 2 times more than what we have now. And can you guys see my cursor okay? Okay, this is a new parking area. Again, the pull-in area, completely around, and an exit area, all nicely done, big, huge parking lot. The stage area, the current stage area does stay the same. There's no maintenance shed here that we were talking about before. That is gone. This rock wall structures for our retaining wall is an idea that Bayer and Becker and some of the playground areas, playground people have said that we would get. We are squaring this off right here. So all this will also be playground area, if that makes sense right here. It's going to be squared off down here, and that retaining wall will be right through here. And it can be a rock structure like this, something where kids can play and climb on. So it will be kind of incorporated, this wall, into the actual playground. Now, again, going there, the pavilion is something that we are going to do. The playground retaining wall is going to be the site work. The reorientation of the baseball field is site work. The baseball here, the walking trail going around here, all site work. We have this amphitheater area right here on the hillside. Again, that's site work. So all of this is part of the bid that will be for the site work. Okay. Now the pavilion is a separate bid. And again, that'll be the exact same bid we put out last time. So again, that pavilion will be right here. We did add, again, the playground retaining wall will be added to it. And the thing that I wanted to point out to you guys is the volleyball court, the sand volleyball court. We are adding some of the piping around the boundary that holds in the sand. It's going to be time for us to replace it. And since they are going to be over there with their equipment, we are adding that little bit of a cost. The cost, they said, is going to be about $2,500. So it's almost nothing compared to what we're doing. But again, we'll have new boundary for the sand volleyball. Now, the best thing that came out of the December meetings that I had with Bayer and Becker and also with our the city lawyer is that we are allowed to do a design bid for the playground. And what that means is we can determine how much money we're going to spend on the playground. All right. So we tell them, let's say it's $250,000. We budgeted, I think it was $265,000 is what we budgeted in our park budget, in the working budget, and we'll bid that out separate. We're also going to bid out separate the tennis courts renovations. So those will be separate bids so they can be specialized by the people doing them. We will bid those out probably a month after we accept the bids for the pavilion and the site work. The playground design bid, the reason this is kind of cool is that we'll be able to tell them how much we want to spend, what kind of specs we're looking at. We want a 5 to 12-year-old playground equipment. We want another one that is, let's say, 7 to 15. We want a surfacing that we want. We can tell them any other apparatuses that we want, and we say, this is the dimensions that we have. They come out, look at the site, and what they do is they come up with a design and they submit it for their bid. Now, we are showing our hand of how much money we're going to spend. We did this the last time. We had about 5 bidders for it. And they will again show us their bids, and they will actually come in and do a meeting with us and again show what they're looking at, what their equipment looks like, what kind of stuff we're doing. So it kind of lets us have a lot of say in the playground equipment of what we're looking at. And so you guys will be able to determine and pick the different types that you like of the 3 or 4 or 5 bids. Talking with people, I think we'll get between 5 and 7 bids for the playground, which is great. That means we'll have 7 different bids to look at and decide which one is best for our kids in our community, which I think is wonderful. So that's probably the best thing that came out of all the December meetings that I had with the engineers and with the city attorney, is that we're allowed to do that design bid. So that was a big positive. Going on back, give me 1 second, let me turn this off. Sorry, I didn't have this up. Okay. This is what I was talking about before with the park budget. And if you guys look down here, this is the transfer from the city of $500,000. This is our $750,000 interest-free loan. And this was page 4 of your document, guys. But then it also has here our loan payment, $75,000 each year going out. And again, it shows you exactly how much money we're going to be carrying over each year based upon losing $75,000 a year from our tax revenue that we create from the park fund. And again, it kind of just breaks everything down a little bit nicer. The only bad year is the 24-25 year is one of our big expenses. But again, we were looking at next year also building the playground. We had 296, of which 265 was part of the playground equipment. So again, we're just looking to, again, if we hit that mark, we're still carrying over $124,000 and so forth. So again, just the basic idea of it. Go ahead.
I know we talked about at a prior meeting that new revenue for the rentals under 2021 and 21-22, adjusting that for not only COVID, but for
good point.
time,
Yes.
the time we may lose with it being closed.
And also another thing is with it being closed, our expenses will go down too. So yeah, we thought it might be a push, but yeah, I can get Amy to update that. And in fact, she might have sent one. Let me check, but I will check that. And that is correct. You're completely correct.
Can I interrupt you one more time here? So Amy,
Absolutely.
one more thing that we've done since I think like Mr. McKinley has always done it was we always try to keep roughly at least $100,000 in our fund balance to accommodate vandalism and sudden expenses and things like that. That's been something that Mr. McKinley's preached since before I was a member. And, that's just sort of been our operating rule. So that's kind of why we were talking about a lower fund balance in the 23 to 25, 26 time frame there. So just so you know, it's just been kind of our operating rule of thumb.
And also, Amy, we will, when we do the new pavilion, we will be charging people. We haven't set an amount yet, but probably between $75 and $100 possibly to rent the pavilion. Right now it's free. Unless you're not a city member, it's free. And I want to say it's 144 times a year that gets rented out. So again, we can make a nice profit with that. Again, we'll charge residents less, of course, than we would non-residents and give them first dibs on the best dates. But again, it is a way for us to at least, as the mayor always likes to point out, we should at least cover our cost of 2 or 3 guys going up there after a party and cleaning up. That's an expense to us, so we should at least get that paid for. Anybody else want to talk about that at all? And Asena, you're exactly right about that, because on 21 and 22, those 2 years, there's no way we'll have any revenue. So it's showing 28,000. But I will say also, I hate to say this, but we won't be paying other than someone to go up there and clean and do some garbage and stuff. So we'll also be saving a lot of money on the other side also. But you're right, there's 2 years there, but we will not get $28,000 with that revenue, no ifs, ands, or buts. And I'll make sure we update that.
The only thing I would add for Amy's kind of historical perspective on that revenue rentals is that the mayor and city council felt pretty strongly about us doing this if they were going to gift us some funds or grant us some funds. So
I think she's being very generous. Yes, they were very animated that we do that. And in all honesty, we're one of the few that do not. I mean, if you want to go to Fort Thomas or you want to use the Boone County parks, they charge $150. Kenton County charges $125 for a non-pavilion, just a picnic table area. They're like $175 for a pavilion area. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. The pavilion that we've designed, Amy, I'm not sure if you looked at what I sent you yet, the pavilion designs, but it's spectacular. I mean, it looks top of the line. And we have 144 people a year rent it now. I'm saying that'll increase unless somebody disagree. I think it'll be standing room only for us to use that and to rent that out.
Hey, Kyle, do you have that handy to put on screen?
Which one, sir?
Just the design we went with for the pavilion?
Yeah, if you give me 1 second, I will show it to you. And I like the beard. I don't care what anybody else says, man. I like the beard.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. It'll come off in good time. Springtime, summer, whenever.
Okay.
And Kyle, in any of these, in this bid, and I think we talked about this a couple times, in there, is there a new entrance sign or, kind of that's?
Yes,
built
we added
into
that. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure.
We had talked about that logo design. I hate to say a very inexpensive one compared to what we're doing, but yes, and they've also put the wording on the actual pavilion also for
Good.
Mitchell Park. So kind of a double whammy. So if it makes sense, we kind of saved by doing a smaller one out front and with the Fort Mitchell, Orange Mitchell Park on the actual pavilion. Well, is that showing guys? You guys good? This is the pavilion. This is as it overlooks the baseball field right here, right now is the way it looks. But the better picture is, again, you're looking at the parking lot over here. You're looking at a porch on each side. You're looking at the restrooms over here. Looking at the pavilion tables here. And again, you're looking down at the baseball field here, volleyball here, playground here. Amy, one of the things that was preached about when we did our survey and talked to moms, for the most part, they hate the idea of how our pavilion is now, is that the buildings block their view from the picnic tables to their children that are playing. They can't see them. And that's one of the things that they kind of said we needed to open that up. So the current one has, again, a direct sight to the playground, if that makes sense. And also if they're at the volleyball court or the basketball court, tennis court, it's a complete, they can see everything but the parking lot, which will be blocked off by the storage area. So again, that's it. This is the designs of what it looks like. Again, if you're from the amphitheater area, this is what it's going to look like. The big roof, big top. Again, from home plate of the baseball field, from when you pull into Grandview Drive, and this is where it'll say Fort Mitchell, Orange Mitchell Park right through here on the back. And then the designs over here from the different views. Again, very big, very grandiose, very, very nice. They'll be as nice as any pavilion in Northern Kentucky, Greater Cincinnati. And we'll have to keep it that way. Is that what you were looking at, Jeff? Is that what you wanted to see?
Yeah, I didn't know if Amy had a chance to see what we came up with. And
I think it'll be wonderful. I mean, I really do.
Well,
very low maintenance and stuff. It's high enough and big enough that it's not going to be it'll be nice. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
Are we gonna do, wasn't it at one point we talked about like the constellation somewhere
Yeah.
on the top? Is that out?
Yeah, it was too. It really wasn't that expensive. It's something we could add later, but yeah, I
Okay,
love
that's
the
what
idea.
I thought, but you
Yeah,
didn't
the
mention
General
it,
Ormsby
so I
Metro
shouldn't
Park,
mention
and that's still on the website. If you ever get a chance, Amy, we have the park. Go to the city website under Parks Department. There's a little bit information about General Ormsby Mitchell, and he was a astronomer, excuse me. And some of the constellations that they wanted us to put and the lights and stuff, it was pretty cool. And that would have been underneath the pavilion. But yeah, but it just making it safe and not going to be broken and stuff. We kind of went away from it. But it was cool. It was very cool. Okay. Let's see. We got that. We talked about the bid schedule. The mayor's meeting this Thursday. Hopefully we can bid this out starting next week on the 8th. We talked about the design bid for the playground. One of the things that we need to talk about, and you guys really need to vote tonight if we could on this. I'm not trying to put you guys on the spot, but Glenn, we need to decide on a budget for the design bid. And we don't have to decide tonight for the playground how much we want to spend, but we do need to start the discussion of how much we want the design to fall under, if that makes sense. Now they could come back at 220,000. If we say 265, they could come back with right at 265, which most will do since we're showing our hand. But there's things when we get that design bid, we could actually go through and say, okay, we don't want these two little pieces here that cost $6,000. We don't want the train. We can get rid of stuff, if that makes sense. That's one of the cool things about the design bid. We pick the one we want, and we can actually pick and choose items off of that bid that we want and don't want. Again, that's why the design bid is such a nice thing for us to have. But what numbers are we comfortable at, guys? We have to at our. Go ahead.
I just want to make sure I understand what we're discussing.
Okay. Sorry.
Put a number out there.
Correct.
And everybody's going to have to either come in with a bid at that number or below that number.
Correct.
And it'll be itemized so that
Correct.
we want item 7 and we don't want item 8, that
Correct.
kind of thing. And that'll
It's almost like it was explained to me from my history background, being a social studies teacher, is that you can have a line item veto. It's like the president going through and just completely marking that thing off. We don't want that. No, we like that. We don't want that. And it's already itemized of how much it costs. So we know exactly what we're getting for the price, if that makes sense. So if we mark off a swing set or one bay of a swing set, $2,500, we know that bid comes in $2,500 less than what it states. And we can go through each one. And that'll be I hate to say that, one of the coolest things that we did when we redid it the last time was those meetings with those guys and bringing those guys in there. They know so much and have so many great ideas. It'll be eye-opening. It really will be, from the ideas that they come up with and show and things of that nature. It'll be good. Yes.
Process, will they also kind of have to sort of lay out where that's different things will be? So
yeah, you'll get an actual design and showing you exactly where everything is, and then you also have an itemized cost for every available structure or add-on that they put in there. They'll also have, like, we can't say, since it's a design bid, we can't say that what kind of surfacing we want. Now, personally speaking, I think we bid it out that we want some kind of a surfacing that's not mulch, tire-based, things of that nature. And what they do is they come up with an idea of their surfacing. They'll show us what it's going to cost. Now, they could have in their bid 3 different, the cheapest kind of surfacing, the second cheapest, third cheapest. They could do that, and we'll be able to choose from it. They'll bring it in and show it to us. It's like I said, it'll be completely open, and it'll be eye-opening. It's pretty cool stuff. It really is when they show it to us. And again, the design bid will make it that much. It'll be cool. It really will be. But what I need is just from you guys for our March meeting. We're going to have to vote because we want to put this out to bid probably mid-March, the design bid. So we're going to have to be able to tell them how much money we're comfortable with bidding it out for. We've budgeted 265,000, and that would be for, we talked about two play structures, two different age play structures. We talked about children's swings and baby swings to two different bay areas. We talked about, what else we might want in it, a surfacing we want in it. And then they get the dimensions and they kind of, show us what we can get for the money. When we did this, the system we have now up there was 165. If that puts it in perspective, that's the surfacing. Also, the retaining wall was also part of that. The lighting was part of that. All that was, again, 165, and we did it, again, 13, 14 years ago. So, again, that kind of gives you an idea of, that's why we kind of thought it'd be like 250,000. It is probably ballpark to get a replacement of some things that we have right now. But again, that's old school. They'll probably have different ideas and different designs than what we have now. So it's something that they'll be able to share with us. What's a number you guys are comfortable with? So we, again, you guys can at least discuss amongst yourself, what are you comfortable with spending for that playground? At least start thinking about that. If not now, it's something by March 2nd, we're going to have to vote and come up with a number by that next meeting, period. Anybody? Jeff, you want to jump out there?
I mean, we've been pretty comfortable with this 265. I don't know if we throw a 275 or 300 at them just to see what it looks like and knock off a couple of the hot, an item to get us down to the 265. But I mean, that's where we've been, and that's kind of where I'm comfortable with. I don't know why
I
we
agree.
change it now.
Okay. Are you guys okay with us possibly going a little higher, knowing that we're going to knock some things off? Or are you guys just comfortable saying 265 and we can kind of possibly whittle it down to 230, 245?
Hey, Kyle, let me ask you this: that corner spot when you had the picture up of the new layout, the new corner spot where we were extending that retaining rock wall down.
Right here? I didn't share it. Sorry, my bad. I didn't share my screen. Sorry.
How much additional area is that, and is that somewhere we could put playground equipment?
Yes. I mean, it's significant. Can you guys see it again now?
Yeah.
It's significant. It's about 6 feet in and probably easily 25 feet, 30 feet this way, if that makes sense. I'm going to try and draw a little thing. Because again, no other reason. The whole, I'm going to be honest with you guys, the whole reason that we were going to kind of square this off for no other reason was it saves us on the retaining wall, because it's one big shot instead of in and back out, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So we'll have one big retaining wall right here with this level all the way through. That's easily about the same size as the adult swings we have now, Jeff, that makes sense. About the same area.
Yep.
As the adult swings we have now.
Okay.
And we would have two structures that are separate. I mean, you would have a structure for like a 5 to 12 or a preschool structure or what else. So everything will be kind of laid out to where you won't have big kids with small kids and things of that nature.
Yep.
Parents with very small kids and strollers, to where you'll have the adult stuff over here or the older stuff, teenage stuff over here. And they'll lay all that stuff out. Everything will be handicapped accessible. Everything will be, we're taking care of all the water issues that we have coming down here. I mean, it's going to be, we've got a nice, big, huge area that they can play with. I mean, this will be as when the guy from Play World, when he came out and looked at it just with Bear and Becker, he was amazed with how big of an area that we're looking to do. Because most of them you have a small one, and then separate you'll have another one, but ours will be one big one. And he said this will be a designer's dream to come up with different stuff.
Did you happen to tell him what our budget was for that?
Yeah, he actually, I hate to say this, I actually told him it was 240. I thought our number was 240 before I met with him. And it was even higher. He thought that we would easily get what we're looking for. And he says the biggest thing is that, like we had that climbing wall was a big thing 14 years ago, and we added that. The little train set we have over here, the kids play on and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like he says, those things are outdated. He says, you probably want to get something with more action, things that keep kids more attention, whether it's something that moves, a walking scale that moves back and forth, something that kids can be more interested in just climbing on. But he says they'll be able to come up with a lot of stuff, and that was at 240. He says, you got to think that about 50 to 55,000 will go straight to surfacing. About 50 grand will go straight to the surfacing. So you're looking at, but again, when we spent 165, I want to say 40 grand, 35,000 was the surfacing. So I mean, we did the same thing last time, but he thought anything over 200,000 would be able to suffice with. Again, I told him 2 different play structures, 2 to 3 different swing set items, and then individual things in the surfacing. He goes, easily get it with her 240, easily.
Yeah, I mean, that puts me pretty comfortable to just stick around that 265, because I think, if we say that's where we're at, I would imagine most of them are come in a little bit above that and say, hey, but if you take off this one thing, we can get you to where you are.
Right.
If we go out and increase it to 275 or 300, hell, these things may come back 325, and
we're
going to be all excited about what's out there, knowing we can't get a couple of them. So
one of the cool things too is that they'll be able to add on stuff at the bottom and say, okay, now you guys, if we upgraded to this much money. If you want this instead of this, it's that much more money. So again, they'll give us like I hate to say a goodie bag, but they'll add on additional things if we're interested to go up a little bit. This is the cost of it. But the best part of it all is that we will know exactly the cost of everything. We'll be able to go through and completely tell them, okay, we're taking $7,000 off. We want to add this thing for $8,000, so their bid's $1,000 more. I mean, as soon as we look at it, and again, I think that's a cool thing for us to be able to, for you guys really to be able to design that whole playground. I mean, and again, it'll be there for 15 years. I think that's awesome.
Yep. I mean,
one thing he did point out, he says we do not want any type of canopies. He says a big thing now is canopies, things like that over top of playgrounds. He says they're the biggest headaches. He says that's one of the things you guys want to stay away from, especially as high up as we are with the wind over there. Says you don't want any kind of canvas, any kind of a shading type issue. He says, man, that's one of the things you want to stay away from. It's very expensive and the uptake of it is very high. So FYI.
Yep. I mean, based on that information, Kyle, I don't know what the rest of the board thinks, but I wouldn't want to go anything more than what we already had budgeted at 265.
Okay. Well, we'll vote on that the March meeting. We'll vote on that, and we'll go with the 265. We'll get Robert's input on that also for the next meeting. But again, I do think that'll be one of the cool things that we can do. And the whole reason we're doing these separate bids is because they can be specialized, and we think those will lower the price tags. That's why we're doing the renovations of the tennis courts separate and the playground separate, so we can get those specialized bids. If not, you're getting one big contractor gets the bid and he's just subbing it out to these people, which jacks up the price. So I think we'll get a better, at least Baron Becker really believes that we'll get a better price doing it about a month, 6 weeks after we do the other bid. So just throwing it out there. Anybody have any questions? Amy, I know this is 1,000 different things and I talk a mile a minute. I get that. So if there are any questions anybody has about the renovations and what we've talked about so far with the renovations. Mike, you've been really quiet, man. You okay? You seem quiet.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I do have a couple of things real quick.
Sure, go.
As far as the site work bid,
Yes.
that was including the ball field realignment, the walking path, the amphitheater, and I thought a couple other things, and I'm missing it. Or is that just those three?
It's the whole excavation, the grading of all this right through here. It's a complete site work other than the pavilion. It's everything.
Okay.
It's the parking lot. It's the parking lot. It's the added trees, any of the other stuff. And it's also that playground retaining wall now is one thing that's the only thing we added to it. If that makes sense. And again, I did add the volleyball boundary, but everything site work on this entire thing, other than the playground, is complete site. That's the complete site work other than the pavilion, the playground, and the tennis courts. Everything else is the site work. And that's the main, that's our main cost.
All right, I just missed this couple of things. Thank you.
I think, Mike, you're right. Mike, when I did explain it, I did not mention the parking lot and stuff, and that is complete. That's part of it.
Okay.
Hey, Kyle, one more part of that. Just if
Shoot.
you remember when we met with the mayor over there over the summer, you know, he seemed to have some very specific and relatively strong ideas about where fences needed to be and didn't need to be around that playground. So I just, you know, make sure that when you're meeting with them and talking with them to kind of explain where it is right now, and then just
Correct.
to make sure we get his input.
One of the things, and Glenn, I'm glad you brought that up. It's he was a big proponent of wanting to fence in the entire playground. If you remember on this side,
Yeah.
one of the things that we've kind of done is, if you remember those bids that went out last time, this entire area right through here was also parking. So you had
Right.
cars. So now we've kind of only about a fourth of it is going to have, not even a fourth, probably more like a third, is going to have parking lot or cars where the playground is. And that's going to be about 12 to 15 feet away. If we need to add something, we can. I think the retaining wall here, if it looks like these, will be a very big determinant of kids not climbing over and going that way. But I will definitely bring it up Thursday when we meet. And if that's something that we need to put around the parking lot maybe itself or something, we can easily do that in this area right here. Maybe even come up that way if we have to, by the walking trail. But I mean, I easily think we can do that.
Yeah, I'd prefer we didn't, just because I think it's just hard to make a very nice fence in there, and
Yeah,
you know,
the aesthetics goes away.
exactly. But you know, we'll have to see. But I know that was a big concern of his over the summer.
Yes, and it was. You're completely right. He also, if you remember, Glenn, he was all worked up about the lines running to the maintenance shed. If you remember, we had a maintenance shed here before in that first bid, and we still had lines, electric lines and water lines and stuff leading this way. You remember that, Glenn?
I do.
And all that's gone now also because we got rid of the shed. So a bunch of his questions are kind of answered. But again, he'll look over this, and if he has any, I have no doubt whatsoever that he will see something that we've missed or we have not taken into account, and he will tell us about it. I have no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
Kyle, along those lines,
Mhm.
one of the things we talked about too, and I don't remember if this was the full group, but I remember talking to the mayor about this, and this may have even been added in. Those, like, we talked about some hedges or taller bushes along that area of the
Right here?
parking lot. Yeah, as a barrier. Yeah,
Yeah.
rather than a fence. And
Yeah, and
I
we-
think those bushes were added in on this picture. I don't think they were in the prior drawings.
Yeah,
I don't
they
know.
weren't. They was completely
were.
bare last time. But I will say this. I'll bring that up if that's something. Again, if we can stay away from a fence, I think that's the greatest thing we can do. If we can put bushes up, we can put anything up to be more of a deterrent for kids to run through. I'm all for. Because again, the last thing we want is a fence. I think going right through here and over to here behind this walking trail. I just hate for that to be there. But I'll bring that up, Asena.
Right, I just have a comment too. Right now with the current structure that's there, there's that little, like a drawbridge almost, that little bridge that kind of runs right into the parking lot. And I think, I mean, it's hard to have known that that would be an issue until it's up. But I think, at least in my experience, the kids are running on and off. When they're running off, it's kind of easy to just keep running into the parking lot.
Correct.
So, you know, if we avoid something like that this time, then I think that will help a lot with that issue of kids just running into the parking lot. And I know that there are other ways they run into the parking lot. That as a personal experience is something that I've had happen with my kids. They're just excited and running off of that little bridge
Right.
and just keep running into the parking lot.
Amy, actually, that's a great point, because this right here, as of right now, where my cursor is, that is a ramp for a handicap accessibility. So even
Okay.
though it's meant to be for handicap, that is a great point. Now, this is a 6-foot walking path before you get to the playground. That'll be
Mhm.
right here, if that makes sense. So there's at least 6 feet to play with
Okay.
from the walking trail to the parking lot. But maybe that's something that we, talk to Bear and Becker about when we bid it out, to where we maybe we only make it. I don't know legally. I don't know. Maybe we only make it accessible from. I would think it's going to have to be from the parking lot,
Okay.
handicap accessible. So I'm not sure exactly how, because I know exactly what you're talking about. How kids come off there, and there's that little sidewalk area right
Right.
now, right here. But Yeah, that's a good point. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not sure how we can do that since that will be a ramp again. As of right now,
Okay.
that is gonna be a ramp.
Okay, maybe if there's just not
But I
that
can ask,
little bridge coming down, and
yeah,
leading to the ramp, then I think that would probably help in that instance at least.
okay, I'll put that into our notes too. Give me one
Thanks.
second. Cindy, you don't think that those bushes were there on that first drawing? You don't think they were there either? I don't
I
think they
don't
were.
think that, yeah, I don't think that
I
they
can
were.
look. I don't think they were either. But let's make bushes in the path to playground. Okay. Anybody else? Glenn, you got anything? Jeff, Amy, anything else? Asena, what you guys think of anything else that we were leaving off from the renovation itself?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Well, guys, for the most part, that's all I've got for you guys. Remember that when this whole thing gets done, we're definitely going to get it wired into the park, or excuse me, to the city building, to the police department. We also, if any of these, another reason we're doing these bids separate is, let's say we spend a little bit more than what we had deemed for the site work and for the pavilion. We do have different ways that we can save money on the tennis courts by doing the shorter 3 or 4 year fix with Public Works. Remember that? That's something we can save. So that's something in the back of your mind. I do think the one thing that I will put out there is that once we do the site work, we're kind of, and we agree to the site work in the pavilion, we're kind of locked into the playground, if that makes sense. Because again, you're going to have a retaining wall here, if that makes sense, and work being done with this open area around it. Does that make sense? So we're going to be kind of in a position where we're going to have to do that playground soon once we, again, do the site work around it. Does that make sense to everybody? So if we look to save money, if something does happen, it'll be with the tennis courts. Is everybody on board with that? Jeff, you saw your go back and forth.
Absolutely.
Okay, making sure. Let's see what else we have. When we do get the park wired, we will also have open lines for community to use it. It'll be open group community to where there'll be open wireless for them. The security cameras will have their own separate lines, of course, but they will be able to use our Wi-Fi in the park area, definitely around the pavilion, definitely the parking lot, and probably definitely most of this walking trail through here, the amphitheater, all this area through here. Now, once you get down to this area here, it will not be Wi-Fi, but all this area up here will be Wi-Fi to where people can be guests and can, again, join that. And again, we'll put out routers and stuff for that and information about that or information signs. That's really all I've got for you guys. I've got the next park board meeting happening March the 2nd, 1 month from tonight. At that meeting, we're going to have to vote. So I need at least 3 of you guys here so we can vote on the playground design cost of what we want to budget for that. We talked about 265, and that's what we'll go with on the 2nd. And I will be sending you financial. Go ahead, Glenn.
Question. We got to meet again after the 9th. Could we combine those 2 meetings into 1 meeting and just do it on the 9th?
I'm going to be honest, man. When we cancel a meeting or we don't have a meeting, it's like free open season on me at the city building. We plan these meetings. We really need to have it, even if it's only for 5 minutes to go over stuff. We need to have it on the exact same date and time. And if we have to have a special meeting, we do. Mike, do you want to jump in on there for anything? I mean, because I know council hears from it.
I'll agree with you on that because there are residents that like to attend, a lot of different meetings. And once that meeting is posted on the city website, and if we take it down or we don't take it down and we decide to cancel a meeting, Kyle's right. He gets pretty hammered.
Man, and we got, and you guys, I mean, there's like 4, 5, 6 different people that come to our meetings and follow us and do stuff. And, I want to keep them we want to be as transparent as we can be. And it looks
Right.
like we're not being transparent when we move the date or do something different or cancel a meeting. And that's the last thing we want. I know that sounds horrible, but I think even if we just meet for 5 minutes, we don't have anything really to discuss. We just need to meet to say, hey, we met. We just didn't really have a lot to discuss. And if we need to have a special meeting later, we publicize it like we're legally supposed to do, and we follow up on it. But I do think we need to have these every first Tuesday of the month and do the best we can and get at least three people to each one. Now, I just think that's the best way to go, because again, council, not just me, council takes it. I know the mayor takes it. I know Andrew gets emails about it. It's just, and it's all the different groups, not just the park board. I mean, it's you want to be transparent. People think we're trying to pull a fast one if we don't meet on the specific date that they're told that we're supposed to meet.
Correct.
Thanks, Cal.
Okay. Anything else? We do need to, Glenn, one thing we do need to do is just vote on closing this down. If I find my sheet on the agenda.
Yep.
Need a first and a second. First off, anybody got any questions? Amy, I know we threw a ton of stuff at you. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. You guys did a great job of explaining everything. So thanks.
Amy, and if you have any questions, email me, text me, call me, and we can go talk about anything you have a question about, okay?
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
One more thing, Kyle.
Yes, sir.
As far as once you're having your meeting with Bear Becker and the mayor on this Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
and if everything goes well, then the bids are going to go out on the week of February 8th, right? So you're not going to have
Sometime next week, the bid should go out. Yes.
okay, and you will not have
No,
another meeting until March
Nope.
2nd.
Nope.
Okay.
Now,
Right.
again, now we will, now, Mike, I say that if something comes up that the mayor wants to add, doesn't like, we might have to
Then
have a
you will.
special meeting next week.
Okay.
But if everything goes and he okays what we've got done, I'm pretty sure that it's go ahead and we're marking off the T and moving on.
All right. Perfect. That's it.
All right, guys. I need a
One
Go ahead,
question, Kyle. Could
ma'am.
you, after the meeting on Thursday, could you just shoot us a quick email? Like, yeah, everything's good to go.
Absolutely.
And okay.
Absolutely. I will let you guys know, and I will need to take notes and to send anything that I get, I'll send to you guys.
Okay. And since I interrupted again, I'll make a motion to call the meeting to an end.
I'll second
I
it.
get a second. Who was second?
Glenn.
Glenn, got it. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
4-0.
Aye.
Okay, guys, thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Kyle.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Take care, everybody.